Super Bowl 59 was played last night between the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Philadelphia Eagles absolutely dominated the Kansas City Chiefs, and the final score of the Super Bowl was 22-40. Let's get into it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. This is MP with MP Talk Sports, and the Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions, stripping the Kansas City Chiefs of their opportunity to make history with a three-peat. Now, I did not expect this game to go this way. I don't think anybody expected this game to go this way. In the beginning of this game, my prediction was it was going to be a very close game throughout the entire game. Um, the final score was going to be off just by a few points. Most likely a Kansas City win, but hoping for a Philly win. And it went in the complete opposite direction. Right in the beginning, though, I was like, all right, they're going to win the coin toss. They're going to defer. They're going to quickly stop Philadelphia on their first drive. They're going to get the ball back. They themselves are going to quickly drive down the field, and they're going to score the first touchdown. So the Kansas City won the coin toss. They deferred. They did stop Philly. However, that came after Philly went for it on a 4th and 2, which was crazy to me that they did that early on in the Super Bowl. They go for it on a 4th and 2. They convert on the 4th and 2 to AJ Brown for a 32-yard pass down to the Kansas City 18-yard line. But then they call an offensive pass interference call against AJ Brown when he just barely touches the defender in his face. So, which brings it back. And they have to punt it away. So, controversial call already right off the bat. Even Tom Brady, who was commentating, even he didn't agree with that. He didn't agree with that call. And you're sitting there and you're watching this and you're like, all right, yep, of course. This is the way that this game is going to go. We're all just going to sit here and we're going to watch some stupid calls be called all night against Philly to favor the Chiefs. And the Chiefs are going to do the exact same thing, and they're not going to get those calls against them to be in favor of the Eagles. Just like how it's been all year for the Chiefs. And Philly's going to have a super hard time in this game trying to keep up with that. But in the first half, Kansas City barely did nothing. Did nothing. Their drives, the drive sequence in the first half for Kansas City was punt, punt, punt. So 3 punts, a pick six, another punt, an interception, and another punt. So going into halftime, it was 0-24 Philadelphia. Going into halftime of the Super Bowl. I mean, Kansas City didn't even cross midfield until the third quarter. Travis Kelce didn't even get a catch until the third quarter. It was like late in the third quarter for both of those things to happen. And, not gonna lie, but going into halftime, I was kind of hoping that Kansas City didn't score at all in this game. I was kind of hoping that. But they did eventually score, obviously. But I mean, Philly was playing so great. They were playing so great. Jalen Hurts scored their first touchdown on a tush push. He did throw an interception, but Kansas City has to punt that away anyway. Philly settles for a field goal. They get the pick six, and AJ Brown scores a touchdown. And Philly's defense was amazing in this game. They forced so many incompletions. They had two interceptions. They sacked Mahomes 3 times in the first half and another 3 times again in the second half. Kansas City was crumbling. Everything around them was crumbling. They were crumbling and they were struggling, and they're a completely different team when calls don't go in their favor. They actually, they had some calls go against them. But of course, this comes after Roger Goodell actually finally says something about the refs favoring Kansas City. He called it absolutely ridiculous that we have this theory that the refs favor the Chiefs. And and in the Super after he says that, and then in the Super Bowl, they have that one call in the beginning. That one call in the beginning that everybody was like, "Yep." The one against AJ Brown, everybody was like, "Yep, here we go. This is how it is." And then nothing crazy after that. I mean, the Chiefs, they can't do shit. They can't do shit when they don't have the help from the refs. And when the right calls are actually made against them. I mean, Kansas City isn't a high penalized team. They ranked 5th this season with an average of almost 48 yards per game, and they rank 14th on drawing penalties against their opponents. I mean, in this game, Philly had 8 penalties for 59 yards, and Kansas City had 7 penalties for 75 yards. So in my opinion, this game was called quite fairly. Um and and Kansas City might be a little overrated. All season, there was, I can't remember how many games it was, but there was X amount of games that were they won by a score or less. And how did they get there? How did they get there? It's been years now where you always see the memes of like, oh, I got my new Kansas City Chiefs jersey and it's like a ref's uniform. It's awful. And it showed in this game. Talent wise, Philadelphia is definitely the more talented team. Kansas City isn't. Kansas City is the Kansas City because of the way everything goes in their favor. And the NFL may or may not be scripted. But anyway, Kansas City finally scores a touchdown with less than a minute to go in the third quarter, and that was by Xavier Worthy, making the score 6-34 Philadelphia. Now, Kansas City's first drive of the fourth quarter, Mahomes gets sacked and he fumbles, and it's recovered by Philly. They do score 2 meaningless touchdowns in the fourth quarter. One was by DeAndre Hopkins, and then the other one was by Xavier Worthy, again giving him 2 touchdowns in the game. But the damage was done. I mean, the Eagles put in their backup quarterback, Kenny Pickett. They put him in with like less than 3 minutes left uh, in the game, and they gave Nick Sirianni the Gatorade bath, um, making the final score 22-40 Philadelphia. Again, I was not expecting this at all. With or without controversial calls in this game, I couldn't believe it was crazy to me how terrible Kansas City played, especially Patrick Mahomes with the terrible, terrible decisions that he made in that game. Um, it came to a surprise to me. They're supposed to be, you know, this. They were favored to do a three-peat, and they go scoreless in the first half of the Super Bowl. Um, I mean, Mahomes after the games, he said, "I take full responsibility for the turnovers," and DeAndre Hopkins talking about how there was touchy calls in the game. But I mean, it's the Super Bowl. Everybody's gonna after the game, after a loss, is gonna be angry. Is gonna be emotional. Um, the easiest thing for you to do is to blame something else instead of blaming yourself. Um, but the only thing I did want in this game that didn't happen, I wanted a touchdown for Saquon, and he didn't get one. But the Eagles are in this. Um, Jalen Brown, Jalen Hurts played amazing. He won the MVP of the Super Bowl. Saquon got held up. I don't think he went over 60 yards rushing. But overall, it was that defense. That defense came through for the Eagles, and Kansas City just did nothing on either end. Did nothing on either side of the ball, and it was awful. But the Philadelphia Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, the Super Bowl 59. It is officially the end of the season. Hopefully, next season will be different for the Kansas City Chiefs. One could hope. If you like my videos, please like and subscribe. I'm MP, and this is MP Talk Sports.